If a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being a product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator.
So there's a game called Pragmata. A lot of people have been really into the game. A lot of folks have some different opinions. But one of the articles that came out were stating the fact that a lot of the men who were playing it were feeling a sense of paternal instincts in them that was growing. There's a desire in them that grew to want to be parents.
What are you?
I am DI-03367, a state-of-the-art pragmata created here at the Cradle. I possess basic life-saving...
How about we call you Diana?
Diana?
Yeah. From now on, you can be Diana. How's that fit?
Diana. You. Diana.
Yeah.
You. Diana.
All right, you guys kind of have a little idea here.
In any case, what is this? Capcom's Pragmata. Wait, did it come out already? Pragmata, it's making thousands of people suddenly want to start a family. You play as Hugh, a soldier, stranded on a ruined lunar research station. His job is protecting the childlike android Diana while fighting rogue AI. What's really interesting about this is all of these unfuckable losers in the gaming sphere always talk about like starting families and stuff. And I don't understand like why this has become a thing that they care about. Like, if you're a gamer, you should care about things that you actually experience. You should care about things that you actually enjoy, right? If you're a fucking lonely gamer who has never been around a woman and will never have sex with a woman, why do you care? Like, why do you care about having children or like riding for having children? Like, if they changed hot Cheetos, if they changed the recipe of hot Cheetos, if they changed the recipe of like, I don't know, Dr. Pepper or something, and you fucking freaked out about that, that makes sense, right? But as far as like LARPing about starting families and whatnot, this is something that I never understand. It's just not something that you're gonna experience ever for your life, for the rest of your life, right? Also, I will say, Japanese game, putting a child in there, you're playing with fire, okay? Don't get mad at me for saying this, but I feel like any Japanese game you put like a child, it's gonna invite maybe the worst possible fandom, you know? I know it's not like that. I'm sure the game is not like that, but there will be people who take it like that.
Interesting reaction. Tim Pool's going to chime in afterwards, but this comes from Tim Pool's employee. Says, lots of strange reactions to this game. Let me clear some things up. Childless men who do not have paternal instincts the way that childless women have maternal instincts. We observe this even in the way little girls and boys play. So what she's talking about the fact that like girls play with dolls and boys don't. So that's showing maternal.
I guess that's what he means.
Men first experience paternal instincts once they have their own children, and typically those paternal instincts are only ever felt for their own children and no one else. Men are not nurturers. Men don't gush over kids in public. Men don't have baby fever. If a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being the product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator. That escalated so fast. And you'd be taking the feminist, radical gender abolitionist position to protest any of the above points. This should explain why Dad Simulator game marketed to mostly childless men gives people the creeps.
If the argument is that the cuteness of Diana as a character is going to increase birth rates, I think that's like obviously not true. That's not going to happen. But they're, circulating these clips of especially female streamers playing this game, and they're brought to tears.
They're brought to tears. So both men and women are experiencing the exact same thing playing the video game, which is it's moving them, and there's a part of them that is wanting to have children as a result of watching this. That's a positive thing. So both of them are getting this nurturing feeling from the video game, but men got shamed for it. Isn't that odd a little bit?
If a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being a product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator. Here I perhaps put too much labor on the audience to interpret what I meant. I was inferring cases where, single men or gay men pursue adopting or buying a child via surrogacy without a mother involved in the process. And I do think that that's predatory, and it's predatory in the worst cases, of course, but in most cases just terrible for the child, because a man...
Oh, she's trying to fucking flip that shit real fast. Apparently, if you want to adopt, guys, the same way a lot of ladies want to adopt, as probably a predator. Thoughts?
Yep, absolutely right. If you're a man and you want to, that's so stupid.
It's my perspective that men do not have the capacity to feel for children the way that women do. And I don't know if I've found a better way to articulate it than women are maternal in a more noticeable way than men are naturally paternal.
Let's say you're right. That's true. What does that matter? It means nothing. Just because you more overtly show your emotions doesn't mean I don't feel emotions as strongly. That's essentially the argument. That person speaks their ideas much louder, so they must think more. That person flashes their money much more overtly. That means that they must have more. That's the brain dead logic that she's showing. What you see on the surface is not a reflection of what actually happens behind closed doors or what the capacity of the individual is. This is also another pet peeve of mine. When people say this dumb shit like they're authority figures, and then they go on to say something like this when they get criticism. To those denying biology here, would you hire a male babysitter?
Pause. For those denying biology, and then you put a fact that has nothing to do with biology. How does one equate the other?
That's exactly.
You said, for those denying biology, and you go straight into giving us an argument that has nothing to do with biology. It's like, first, do you know what words mean? Or you're just deciding to go like that, willingly ignorant, just to prove your point that is not a point? When I say people don't know how to argue, they don't know how to bring arguments together that makes it worthy for you to even sit down and have an argument. It's like, debate that person, debate this person. You want me to debate that?
You mean your kid's kindergarten teacher and it's a dude. How do you feel about that? What do women have that men don't? Are we beginning to understand each other now? Men aren't women. None of this is a knock against men. It's just true.
Bro, have you seen the amount of women predator these days? Every week there's a new woman predator that used to teach somewhere, and then she's outed to have ex relationship with her students. What does that mean?
So she's trying to hint to the whole differences between men and women from a nurturing standpoint. She goes, would you hire a male babysitter? And I'm like, probably not. But if I had to have a tutor for my kid, I'd probably hire a male. And the idea that men aren't nurturing because we don't play with dolls. Maybe they don't showcase that at the earliest age, but they do develop it. How many dudes are teachers? Is teaching not a nurturing role? Are men not teachers? Those aren't their kids, but they still make an effort. Think about some of the most influential people in your lives, whether it be teachers or whatever that really affected you. Some of y'all are going to say it's men.
Most coaches that I've seen are men. You could even include gymnastic in there, something that is generally more women. Boom. In their 30s, they become teachers, coaches. When we talk about the mentorship, I see much more men than women, actually.
Pretending like just because men don't necessarily offer the nurturing the exact same way or whatever it is. And look, if you really want to have that discussion, you can look at a lot of the studies, but single fathers oftentimes outperform single mothers in terms of how the quality of care and the quality of parenting that they can offer. Now, there are some economic reasons for that. Generally, men who position themselves to be single fathers are oftentimes in a better position financially than women are. But that's also a fact. That proves that men are capable of doing the parental role. They are capable of doing the nurturing role, even when there's no woman around. They're not lacking something where they can't give that. That doesn't mean that the kid shouldn't have both parents. It just means that y'all pretending like men and women are from different universes and that there's... I say this all the time. Men and women are much more alike than they are different. The differences do matter. They do exist. But the people who pretend like we're worlds apart, it's not real. I know plenty of dudes who raise their kids, and they do an amazing job, and they do a lot of it by themselves. Even when people are like, men are protectors, they're like, women are protectors too. I've seen moms will protect their kids to fucking high heaven. Why does it have to be some singular binary? No, don't deny biology. Show me your studies, dummy.
Men don't have baby fever. That's bullshit.
I can assure you that's bullshit. Like, yeah, you're right.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You don't even talk to men about these shit. You just say shit out on a whim. How come whenever you have like a godfather, you see people talking about their godfather or people that are not even their fathers, their uncles, they're like that. There's a bond on there. How come you talk? Yo, that's my niece, and they're 10 toes about their niece and their nephews. All your uncle, when you go to family gathering, they don't give a shit about y'all. They just drink. Yeah, it's just the boys are gonna be outside drinking beer. No, they don't care about the kids. When your father's brothers or your father's friend talk to your brother, they don't ask about the kids ever. Then you in a sad position. I could tell you that much.
Well, Mary Morgan chimed in, and she's getting ratioed. If a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being a product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator. Boy, Mary really pissed people off with that one. My daughter was walking with her walker today, giggling, and I feel tremendous paternal instincts for helping my daughter learn how to walk. I watch this, I see nothing. The Last of Us is fun. It's not just that you play, was Joel the character and Ellie? There's like a funny scene where they're walking across like a narrow strip over a river and he pushes her in and then laughs at her. That's the kind of like, there's like a paternal instinct in that. This is a teenage girl who's trying to survive and you're helping her out. There's a paternal thing in there. If this was like a real child, but I guess for me, being that it's just a stupid robot, I feel nothing. Again, to point out Spider-Man, it is the male power fantasy to save all of the children. I mean, like, there's a reason why guys like superhero movies.
Tim's all over the place. He's not even making any sense. He goes on to defend the point and the take itself, and, he sees a lot of the reaction to what's happening to her.
So we got a community note on this because her post has 2.3 million views. And it says, research shows childless men experience broodiness and a desire for fatherhood nearly as often as childless women, 59 versus 63, and men, including non-parents, exhibit innate caregiving and protective responses to infants. I agree with this. But I think people are taking Mary's point to an extreme end, for which I believe she is largely correct.
The people criticizing her taking it to an extreme, but she said that any man who wants to adopt or whatever is likely a predator. Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I see people with strollers all the time. Not once in my life have I ever leaned over to try and look into the stroller to get a look at their baby. Never happened. I have been in situations.
Is this what we're using now for saying that men don't have a nurturing side or don't have paternal instincts? Yeah, you know why I'm not going to fucking glance into the stroller? Because I'll get called a predator. Yeah, there's an irony to this whole thing. I can't even get to this video. I'm sorry. I will play, but there's an irony to both Tim Pool and Hasan on both opposite ends of this spectrum, both very radical in their own respects. Shaming men because they said they built a desire or they felt their desire for children increase after watching a piece of media involving parenting. People watch movies and get that exact same experience, read a book, watch a piece of anything, art, doesn't matter. It's a normal experience. And here we have this fucking goofball going, I've never looked inside a stroller out of curiosity. Maybe because we spent so much time demonizing men, saying that if they're around kids, they're probably doing something nefarious. So yeah, men have built a natural aversion to being involved with random kids. Doesn't mean we don't have paternal instincts. And it doesn't happen after we give birth. I can tell you, I have very strong paternal instincts. I ain't got no kids. That's a thing that a lot of men feel. Most of the guys I know who started to get to age 30 and above, a lot of them built that desire to want to have kids and started showcasing that. But that's not because something happened to them or they had kids. It's not that. Is as you get older, you start seeing the little kids around you start to pop out from your friends, your families, nieces, nephews, your proximity to them, and that naturalness that you start to build at that time makes you discover what the joys are of being around young people. And then that paternal instinct builds. The reason why men may develop it later than women, maybe it's hormonal, but we're not socialized in the same way to be around children as much. Doesn't mean we don't have it in us.
Hasan Piker for me is just not honest. There's numerous instances that I'm like, okay, no, you're being disingenuous. Tim Pool is doing the same thing on the other side of the spectrum. So he does that often. It's like I'm listening to these guys and I'm like, okay, you guys don't have friends. You don't go outside. You don't touch grass. You're not in touch with reality. And this lady on top of that. It's like, okay, well, you don't know shit about fuck. I'm not going to bend over and watch a kid. There's a stigma around that. That's why I don't do it. Not because I don't want to be a father. I don't have that in me. I got nephews and nieces. They not my kids.
Yeah.
Even Hasan, I can't even take seriously because what he did was not a commentary.
True.
It was not commentary. He tried to ridicule a group of people.
True.
He took a group of people, the people that are playing video games, the people that are classified as nerds, and he started dashing out all the stereotypes. You don't play outside, you will never. He just wanted to shit on people. That's not commentary. That's insult. I bet what you're gonna do, you're gonna nurture kids, so what you're gonna give them? Your Monster drink? That's what it was. It's just been a couple of years that we're able to talk about it, that it's well seen to talk about it. Even now, you got two motherfucker goobers talking shit like that, which proves the fact that it's not well seen to talk about it. I'm sorry, three goobers.
Where people had babies and they asked me if I like to hold it. I'm like, no, I don't want to hold your baby, man. Like, I don't want to be responsible for all that. That's your baby. Now, my baby, I peek at her all the time.
That's because we're not socialized to learn. We're not trusted with kids from a young age. And so obviously we don't want to take on. I felt the exact same way. What Tim is describing, I understand. I don't feel that way anymore. My niece pretty much changed a lot of aspects about me, but that's because I had constant exposure. Living with her, initially, you could ask anybody. I didn't even talk to the kid. Kid would look at me and I'd be like, what's your problem? And then slowly our relationship changed because she kept opening my door and just staring at me. I was like, yo, you look like a devil baby, just serial killer type horror. Kids just...
Yeah, that's what kids do.
And it was that for about a year. Eventually we started talking. She'd come in the room, we'd talk. We started getting closer. And then I started feeling things I didn't feel before. And it really started to change in my head. And she was teaching me things about myself. Parts of myself I didn't even know even existed. And that developed. But that's from exposure. I promise you, people who grew around kids from like let's say you hit your 20s and you're around your niece and nephew, you build a certain attachment to them that changes you. And then you start to feel that towards other kids. So Tim saying, I don't want to hold that kid, I get it. But Tim, you stay inside every day and live stream. You didn't even have a relationship or anything going for you until you was like late 30s. You didn't really spend time with family. Why? Because you had to go shop for beanies. So I can understand you don't feel comfortable holding a kid. That doesn't mean that we don't have it in us. You're just not given an opportunity to learn safely.
I've had this happen to me on an airplane before. I don't really say anything about it. A guy was on a plane. He was sitting next to I think it was two kids, or it was like one kid. And the flight attendant came up and said, we're going to ask you to move seats. And he said, is there a problem? They were like, well, it's just we don't sit men next to children. And they were like, we would rather a woman sit next to the child, as if to imply men are dangerous. This is what offends people.
What does that have to do with you saying that? Well, they don't let men sit next to. What does that have to do with the feeling that you want to nurture? What's the link? It's two separate things. Men don't want to nurture. If they want to nurture, it's because they're
Boy, doesn't this make it worse? I thought Tim was just fucking ignorant. Seems like the guy's aware of the perception of dudes. And then at the same time, he's defending his coworker and what the goofy shit she said.
Yes.
Your coworker's literally contributing to that exact same sentiment that makes dudes wary.
Yes.
And makes people wary.
Yes.
Yo, this is what I mean why these dudes are actually like brain dead.
Yes, they are. And they said that and Casper the Friendly Ghost. They didn't even, it's like, whatever, man.
Gamers that a bunch of them are virgins who hate women, but the idea of having families, the chuds are upset. Oh, that's why they're mad. Oh, I was wondering where the new wave of fucking losers was coming from. That makes sense. It's because I recently said you're never gonna get put. So why are you worried about whether or not women's biological clock is ticking? You got posted in a lot of gamer subreddits. Ooh, nice. You're a Pragmata take pissed off incels. You offended the pedos and the capital G gamers and the incels. Yeah, what they're offended by, I think, primarily is...
I love how first it started with gamers and now it's just incels and pedos. And
It's the same thing for him.
it's always the same smear.
It's the same thing for him.
All right, well, you know what? You're a dirty socialist terrorist who's here to make sure that men and women don't reproduce because you want the West to die. There we go. We can do the same fucking dumb smears.
The truth. That's what offends them the most. When they hear the fucking truth.
What truth? Like, how is this guy a political streamer to be like taken serious? And he says this goofy ass shit. What's the truth? That gamers don't fuck? What, gamers don't have any sex or whatever it is? Like, with how mainstream gaming is, what does that even mean? Fucking women play games too. Like, I don't even understand. So, okay, he's talking about to the male audience. Let's say it's just the males. I'm going to be as charitable. It's just so stupid. I think she's suffering from what people do when it even comes to emotions and gender differences. People think that what they see on the surface or what they see out in the open is a reflection of the experience of people gendered speaking. We thought that because men didn't express emotions the way women do, which women are very expressive, that men don't feel emotions as much. And studies have shown time after time that men are quite emotional. They just don't showcase them outwardly. But put men in positions where they're supposed to nurture, and all of a sudden you see it. You see it with fucking dudes and pets.
Oh, and by the way, if you play the God of War Ragnarok, you're a predator. You're a huge predator. How you gonna go around and feel something about that little boy? Boy.
Yeah, so
Predator.
That it was interesting to see both sides engage in a lot of this misandry. The conservatives were basically saying, like, you know, if you want to be around kids and it's not your own kids, you're probably a predator. And then Hasan on the other side is like, you guys are creepy fucking losers who no one wants to reproduce with. I personally do wish that a lot of this bad rep around dudes in regards to being around kids that all wasn't as prevalent, because it makes it so there's no opportunities for a lot of these guys to even be around kids from a young age, which, yeah, I don't think that's a good thing. Then they develop later on in life and don't really have any attachments to kids because they don't spend time around them because they've been socialized not to. And then afterwards they're called creepy for not like wanting to hold a kid or not wanting to be around them. It's like, oh shit. So yeah, no, I'm not surprised that men don't develop these feelings until the 30s. It's not surprising at all. Unfortunately, we're still playing catch up. We're still playing with people who still believe that dudes don't feel emotions or some other fucking retarded shit. And it's like, at some point, I hope we get moved past a lot of the stupid stereotypes that exist, because we can't even have the other discussions that should come after that one. And I'll also say, women shouldn't even want to uphold these stereotypes either, because it pigeonholes women into this conservative idea of being the only ones capable of being caregivers. It's like, well, if you think men are so retarded and men are incapable of being nurturing or whatever it is, then shit, you kind of just justify the whole area where then women should have most of the maternal role and most of the nurturing role because men are incapable. So you're literally actually upholding, you know, patriarchal standards for Hasan in this case. And then for Tim Pool and these crowds, you guys are dissuading men from being involved with children and actually learning a lot of skills that they might need for their future parental roles.